Seirin versus Kaijo. The match is finally ended. I have just finished up that bunch of episodes, late episode 57 to early episode 62. And I would say it is probably the most mutually respectable, one of the fiercest and most emotional matches that I've seen thus far of these two teams who haven't even, combated each other since season 1. And emotions were there, and nerves were running wild, and mistakes were made, and desperations were being attempted. And ultimately, I kind of feel like this episode delivered a lot more than what we've seen thus far of the series. If you look, we've gotten hype moments, we've gotten in the zone, we've had, Akashi, doing his ankle break and his Emperor Eye, Murasaki Bara going in the zone last few minutes of the game, Almine versus Kagami, all of these hype moments which kind of define those episodes of those matchups in general. This one probably being more so on Kise's perfect copy, but what I feel fundamentally made this matchup was the camaraderie between these two teams. Up until this point, the vibes of the other teammates have been like deadly or even life-threatening in some senses, where it's enemies versus enemies, you know what I mean? Yosen and Toho had a lot more on the line in terms of their pride of losing a match. Almine being very conceited, the only one who could beat me is me. Murasaki Bara, I'll crush you, and always, just looking at the sport as bland and dull and boring. But you come to Kaijo versus Seirin, both of these teams want to win. Both of these teams have high admiration and look up to one another. They're friends at the end of the day. So I felt like this matchup of friends versus friends definitely gave a lot more in terms of the respect and ultimately the drive and the heart that both of these teams had for one another to win, but more importantly for themselves to excel and move on and win the Winter Cup. The dynamic and the pacing of the game is another thing that I found interesting as I was continuing watching. It turned a lot into a gas break dynamic. You get something that's really impactful and changes the flow of the game, then you have a short intermission, and then something else instantly comes in that catches you off surprise, and then another intermission. And it was very back and forth between Seirin and Kaijo, with the first play of the game, Kuroko, boom, vanishing drive, boom, blitzing through everyone, phantom shot. First points of the game was Kise going perfect copy and blitzing them out. That return on investment turned into Seirin bringing in their pace changer, Seirin dominating, Kaijo holding on, Kise coming back. It was just very dynamic in that right, and it just showed how much heart and skill and patience and determination and desperation and all of these in-between feelings and emotions and displays of affection of the game of the sport and the love of basketball that made me love this game so much. I didn't need the inside the zone. I didn't need any type of craziness that, we got from the other Generation of Miracles matches, because this, at the end of the day, was the heartfelt moment of Kise's team wanting redemption for losing their practice match, and Seirin for wanting to officially be able to beat them and surpass them and see themselves at the top versus Rakuzan and winning the Winter Cup. And, that's a win-win for me at the end of the day, and I really appreciated that. I have to specifically single out and talk about Kise, more importantly, his perfect copy, because I feel like it would be criminal otherwise. So, Kise perfect copy, I feel fundamentally from a Generation of Miracles exclusive ability standpoint, he's the best. You can't beat him. And when you look at the Generation of Miracles as a whole, I feel like the reason why, and I haven't watched the flashback and I don't really know about the overall extent of the Emperor Eye for Akashi, but I feel like a major reason of why Akashi's able to be not only the captain, but why he's able to subjugate and just control these other characters, these other Generation Miracles, is because he's able to nullify and make basically all of them feel like shit and make them feel like their moves and they're nothing in basketball without him. And I feel like when you take that and the fact that Kise's able to utilize the Emperor Eye, the trajectory abilities, the ankle breaking, the nullifications of abilities overall, positive and negative, I feel like that ultimately is what makes him better than the other characters. Not only the fact that he can learn everybody else's abilities, because at the end of the day, no one can beat you but you, I guess. I guess Almine's mantra still affects them in the sense of no one understands their abilities better than them. What blew me absolutely away in this matchup was that he was able to copy Kuroko's abilities. And I also had this preconceived notion that we already know that Kuroko's style is unique to him, and that's one style that Kise can't copy, which is the misdirection. And I thought subsequently the abilities that revolve around the misdirection was applied to that as well. Ignite Pass, Kind, Phantom Shot, however, weren't in that category. And I just thought it was crazy how you basically jock Kuroko's swag, and even along the way, Kazamatsu was able to nullify one of those abilities for the rest of the game and just added more pressure for Seirin. And I just thought it was ultimately crazy how that was possible. And I think now, you know, the concept and the element of the perfect copy is what will ultimately make it so Kise can never go in the zone, because that wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair, and I don't blame them for not doing that. And I feel like the perfect copy is a perfect countermeasure to combat the zone, which in a way I feel like it's pretty strange that Kise didn't you know, provoke Kagami to go in the zone to combat that. So I kind of felt for Seirin it was also really great that they were able to overcome this without relying on the zone so much, because I think we've already seen the zone. We've seen the zone twice, which I'm assuming the zone's also going to come into play when they go against Rakuzan as well. But ultimately, dude, I was really sad to see Kaijo lose, you know what I mean? Because the whole foot element, and ultimately I feel like at the end of the day, a major factor and a major weakness for Kise was that the perfect copy is a new ability in of itself, and that's something new to the table, but it's nothing new to Seirin. It's nothing new to Kagami and Kuroko and Hyuga and Teppei and all of them. It's just all of that, it's thrown at you at once, aside from Akashi's abilities, because they haven't gone up against him. But at the end of the day, it's like they could just predict you. And I feel like because he wasn't able to craft his own abilities and bring something fundamentally new to the table, something that's unique in his own and can't be predicted, that was his inevitable downfall, which kind of sucks. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can copy anybody you want, but at the end of the day, you have to make something that's unique to you in order for you to be better than anybody else. So we got great development and growth from both sides of the board, Kaijo as well as Seirin. And the first and foremost that was way out of left field is Furihata-kun. And I was just like, they're actually putting someone in other than the starting five, because I crack jokes from time to time. These guys are lame. These guys are just on the sidelines, you know, bench warmers, just basically their official cheerleaders. And to be honest, I was really surprised, and honestly I was really relieved that Furihata-kun brought something different to the table with being the pace changer of, you know, bringing them back from their deficit of 15-2. And at the end of the day, he was very crucial. I liked this character. I love the fact that we got to see somebody new play, and, you know, he's very cautious and cowardly, but that in of itself is something that no one else on the team is willing to convert to. They're risk takers. They're the ones that, you know, will make reckless plays for the payoff of maybe, you know, closing the gap of the matchup that they were in. And Furihata-kun, you know, it was great to just see a different element, to see a different character in the spotlight. Rather, it was more of the 15 minutes of fame, but he was a crucial element of why that Seirin ended up coming back and essentially winning. And it was cool to see that he was actually able to, you know, to be alongside them and keep up the pace with not only Seirin, but with Kaijo as well. Izuki is my favorite character in this anime. I really enjoy his character, his design, how he looks, etc. His eagle eye is pretty sick too, and we got some more depth and growth with him of, you know, his mannerisms, how he acts, how long he's been playing basketball, his determination, how he never backs down from a challenge, and ultimately how he channels and challenges things head on. And it was great to see his eagle spear ability. That's one thing that I was looking forward to for him specifically, because we got the barrier jump for Hyuga, we got the vice claw from Teppei, so it was time for you know, Izuki to shine. And it was really awesome how that was utilized from time to time of basically shutting down Kazamatsu and his fast drives and you know, his pressure that he applies. So I felt like that was pretty cool too. It was great to see my favorite character. Granted, you know, it's not like over, you know, encompassing of the episode, but, you know, it was still showcased, and it was great to see him, especially as his flashback form. I thought that was pretty cool too. For Kaijo's team, Kazamatsu the captain, we got to see him and how he reacts, and basically his leadership skills in the role of being a captain, especially when Kise first joined, and how arrogant Kise was, and how much he just loved talking about himself, and being on, you know, the generation of miracles, and that he felt like he was better than everybody else. And at the end of the day, Kazamatsu is probably the most practical team leader or character in general of this anime. He's a team leader more first and foremost. He doesn't care who you are, where you came from, how good or bad you are. He demands respect, and he demands that, you know, his teammates believe in him, and vice versa, the fact that he believes in his team. And just the plays that he makes overall, and especially the fact that he was able to nullify the Phantom Shot and expose it right out the gate, after it was utilized. I thought that was pretty interesting as well. And he's one of the very admirable characters because we didn't really even get to see him. Like, everybody in Kaijo's team is definitely getting a big spike in terms of their development since we've only been able to see them since Season 1. So it was pretty awesome to see that, see his showcasing, see his prowess, and see where he comes from a leadership standpoint, and ultimately a team captain. There's a few kind of quirks in the episode that I enjoyed seeing, and really piqued my curiosity, and hopefully we can see more of them in the future. For Riko especially, her scanning ability, we haven't seen that in a really long time when she's using that to scan to see how much longer the perfect copy ability was going to chill for Kise. I think that would be so sick if we can just get a visual representation of what she sees, maybe if Kagami in the zone, or Akashi or Rakuzan's team, or maybe even Akashi in the zone if that's even possible, which I feel if that was, that'd be pretty OP mega hacks. From there we get to see Rakuzan, you know, we get to see the keen perception of Akashi, and he was basically able to predict things as they were happening with the prediction plays of Kuroko, with the fact that he predicted that Kaijo chose a good time to return Kise into the match when they did versus waiting for the last 2 minutes. And the team overall seems very elegant, sophisticated. Even the OSTs when they were coming in to sit down and perceiving and watching the matchups makes me really happy to see more of Akashi's upbringings with this flashback arc coming up, and ultimately the matchup between Seirin and Rakuzan. So I thought that was pretty sick too. And the last character growth of the episode would have been Kuroko. This dude, every game, this guy puts 110% into his matchups, and when he falters, or when he's exposed, or when he's nullified, he still doesn't give up. You know, he had his Phantom Shot move completely nullified, and at this point it's going to be nullified for the remainder of the series, but he still didn't give up. The starting matchup, when he goes up for the first 2 points, that badass Phantom Drive following the Phantom Shot, and you know, he gets blitzed out after that by Kise, he still didn't give up. When Kise was jockeying his swag, copying his moves, still didn't give up, and at the end of the day, his play is what won the game, and he was so, like, devastated. He was looking at his hands like, I made the deciding basket. It was because of me that we won. All of those things just make me so glad that Kuroko is leveling up and getting a lot more growth and a lot more exposure and a lot more experience in the game, especially since Season 1. Like, he's developed into an immense character, one that can perceive characters and have his observation skills to where he's able to predict the movement and the play-by-plays of Kise, which at the same time, it's Kise's detriment because he is predictable. He's not doing anything new or fundamentally challenging for Seirin. So as always, Kuroko's animation is always on point. Animation spikes were really noticeable though when it came to like intricate passes, like with Kiyoshi Tepe and things of that nature, or Kagami. Whenever it came to like really detailed passes, they were really expressed well with high quality animation, as well as whenever Kise went into the perfect copy, preferably with Aomine. I like the reflection of Aomine's persona resonating within Kise whenever he went into a different form. I thought that was pretty cool too. The reflection of the eyes and the aura was pretty sick as well. The Ignite pass is one thing that I've noticed, that they reused the animation of the first time that Kuroko uses the Kai version on Aomine. That's the one thing that I feel like, well, it's already expressed. I don't really see the point in reanimating it to make it look flashy or any different. And they kind of use the same style, I guess you would say, or it's the same rendering when Kise did it, but reflected backwards. So other than that, animation is top-notch as always. Animation spikes at those really pivotal moments, and I'm really looking forward to how it's going to be moving on, especially. That is the episode synopsis of Kaijo versus Seirin. Seirin ended up winning by 1 point thanks to Kuroko, the predictable plays and all that other stuff. Both teams gave it their all, and honestly, I was rooting for both teams whenever, you know, one team made an effort that the other didn't. Next up, we're going to be going into the Taikao middle school arc, which we're going to see all of the Generation Miracles from Kuroko's perspective, getting some backstory on how they all met, you know, the synergy between them, the discontent. I feel like we're going to get a lot more in terms of why they initially broke up, learning of Kuroko's style as well, and ultimately there are two of Akashi, which I guess that means that in the past he was one way and now he's a different way. Obviously, I'm expecting it to explain how he had gotten his Emperor Eye, or how he awokened it, or how he adapted that type of skin. Ultimately, all of this of Akashi's reign during middle school, the final confrontations of the finals, how that's all going to help, and everything else in between with the Generation of Miracles. So be sure to look out for that. That should be out in the next few days. I'm going to be watching the episode starting tonight and bringing you guys reviews afterwards. So leave your thoughts, what you guys thought about this review. I'm going to be doing these reviews in bulk until I catch up with the current episodes of Seirin versus Rakuzan, which I will be bringing you guys back to the episodic reviews as I catch up. So until then, I hope you guys enjoy. Leave me your feedback in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.